Yo, what's up, everybody? Thank you all for tuning in. My name's Tyler, watching a game between Yo and Fire today. This is game 2 of a 4-game series played between these guys in February 2016. Maybe you're watching from the future. Well, you're definitely watching from the future. We're going to see a game here between Celts, Yo is red, and Britons, Fire in blue. So, not mirrored civs here, and a pretty interesting matchup. Britons have pretty strong civ against Celts, but we'll see if the siege is better than the archers, or if the archers are better than the siege today. As far as the maps go, we can see that Yo, here again in red, he's got berries and stone on the back. His gold is kind of here in this weird spot. He could definitely wall this area off and protect that, so that's a nice little bonus for Yo. His secondary gold is way off here to the side, kind of in no man's land. His primary gold is on the front. He does have structure here to potentially put a couple of walls, but this stretch here looks like a really big stretch. That's a big wall for him. So maybe some structure for Yo, maybe some walls, some decent resources, but not the greatest map. Fire, on the other hand, here in blue, he's got his berries and stone on the front. He's also got his secondary gold on the front. But what is very nice about his map is that his primary gold is on the back. And if he can protect that with maybe a little bit of walling for structure, he should have a pretty good advantage on Mr. Yo. He is very open on this back door where his secondary stone is. And all in all, it's just it's a couple of meh maps for both players. I would say Yo maybe has a little bit better of a map, except for this gold is very nice. That's going to be an advantage for Fire. And we'll see how it goes for him. Fire is taking a little bit of pressure from Yo's scout. This is a competitive game, you could say, so there will be potentially some laming. And we're going to see some scout fighting. Looks like at the moment Yo with the uphill, with the downhill advantage. Yo scouting out his side. He is forward on Fire very quickly. We can see Fire has not come forward at all. He's only scouted his map for the moment. So I won't spoil anything about game 1. But game 1 was also on Arabia between these two players. It was a Huns war, very nice game. Hopefully you got a chance to check that out. But here in game 2, as we said before, not mirror civs, and I really like that. I like a little bit of chaos. I like a little bit of, player 1 has an advantage, has a potential for an advantage with, in this case, archers. Player 2 having an advantage with those beautiful siege units. It looks like Fire here is trying to push some deer. He's not doing a flawless job of it, but he will eventually get those in, and he'll get a little extra food. He will sacrifice scouting. You can see at the moment he has no idea what Yo's map looks like. So we might see Yo sort of comfortable here. Yo grabbing his second boar. Oh, and he's actually stolen Fire's boar by the looks of it. My apologies for not commentating that properly, but it looks like Yo will have an extra boar. So Yo coming forward, stealing a boar from Fire, using his scout to his advantage. Fire trying to push these deer, and it just doesn't look like he's having a lot of success. It also appears that Fire has chewed through his sheep already. He hasn't found these two sheep over here. Just not a very good start here for Fire. No scouting, missing 2 sheep, and now he's lost a boar. He will grab 10 gold here. It looks like he will probably drush 4 villagers there on wood. We're also seeing an early barracks from Mr. Yo. So one might also expect a drush from him. That makes a lot of sense with the extra boars. That's going to give him a pretty huge food boost. He has not mined any gold yet, but he can very shortly if he wishes to. And we'll see what happens. We might see a couple of drushes here. I will fast forward this just for a moment so that we can work through this one. This is a fairly long game. Every game in this set is a pretty long game that we would probably expect to see go at least to the at least to the Castle Age. We do see Militia coming out here for... Oh, Yo's Scout is down. Militia coming out here for fire. Yo's Scout was on very low HP after that boar lure, or that boar steal. So, not terribly surprising that it went down. We can see Militia coming from Yo after his click up to Feudal Age. He's also going to grab 10 gold there so that he can build a third. Potentially, he'll also be mining. 4 villagers here coming forward. And are those going to be miners? Are those going to be after this deer patch? By the looks of it, they're coming forward to a deer patch. Or maybe a tower rush. I don't know. I guess we'll have to wait and see. Fire with a little bit of a makeshift wall coming up across here. That seems very wise of him. He might be able to take this gold behind that wall. It also protects his woodline and his berries. He's sending his drush forward now. He's going to actually miss Yo coming forward with 3 militia and 4 villagers. So, we're going to see some aggression out of Yo, potentially in the form of a forward with some towers. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see. But in the meantime, he's going to be pressured by fire from this drush. We can see Yo is really coming aggressively forward here, so I would expect to see a tower any moment from him, or maybe just some straight up villager fighting. It looks like he will just use his villagers in the fight here. Meanwhile, Fire is trying to come in and harass that gold, but for the moment the big action is here. We can see quite a few villagers here from Fire trying to push Yo back, and Yo with a 4 militia drush and a 4 villager forward, and they are going to drop a watchtower. Meanwhile, back at home, Yo is in a little bit of trouble here. I think he's going to lose a villager to this drush. He could very well lose this villager. Oh, stop running the wrong way, villager. So Yo's going to lose a villager. He's going to be pushed off his gold for the moment, but he is forward with men-at-arms now and a watchtower coming up. That watchtower is going to do a pretty good job at taking away this gold, this stone, and these berries. However, we do know that Fire's main gold is in the back, and he's going to be able to take that fairly unharassed for the moment. So, both players getting a couple hits in on each other. You can see Yo with 3 villagers here on stone, so I guess we'll expect to see more towers. Here's the second tower for Yo. The problem for Yo is that he's got this issue of gathering gold at the moment. He's not able to gather any gold to support his forward. He is trying to get through these palisades, but for the moment it doesn't appear he's going to. This watchtower will come up. That's going to take this woodline away from Fire. Yo's going to throw some villagers in there and try to pick one off, but it looks unlikely, at least for the moment, that any of those villagers will go down. Ooh, this villager on 4 HP, and he does get a villager out of it. So, Yo within range of the farms that were on the front of this TC, building men-at-arms, causing Fire to put down a defensive tower here. Meanwhile, Fire's drush is still intact. There is 1 man-at-arms there to push it back, and 3 villagers. But all of these militia on fairly high HP, and they are now men-at-arms as well. So we have men-at-arms from both players, and Yo's going to lose another villager here. So Yo losing 2 villagers now. The total villager count, though, is Fire plus 1. He is still being harassed on the front of his base with these towers and these men-at-arms. These villagers coming over to probably build another tower, and these men-at-arms are holding court. So 3 men-at-arms and a scout have been able to really keep Yo from getting any gold whatsoever. Yo is still taking stone, and he's content at the moment with building offensive watchtowers. It would be very nice if Yo could clean this up. He might mass a few men-at-arms. These villagers are, at the moment, they're going to be strong enough to push that back. So Yo is not in terrible shape. He does have a bit of a lead here because of all of the towers affecting the score. He does still have those 4 men-at-arms intact, and he might send those straight back home to clean up the men-at-arms that have been harassing him. We'll have to wait and see for that. Fire's defensive tower here is going to stop Yo, at least for the moment, from coming any closer, but Yo's done a really nice job of taking away the ability of Fire to farm on the front of this TC. He's also taken Fire's mill out, which is going to waste 100 of Fire's food. If he wants to continue farming, he is going to have to build another mill. You can see Fire is now going to grab some stone of his own, and we have a full-on men-at-arms war going on. And it looks like Fire is going to win that men-at-arms war, which is really interesting. Oh, this wolf might get a man-at-arms himself. So 3 men-at-arms left for Fire. They are on low HP now. 1 man-at-arms for Yo. He's got 4 villagers forward who have now dropped 3 different watchtowers, which are all here to harass Fire's economy. And maybe this is the point where Yo bails on his forward. Looks like he's sending his villagers back. He has a 2-villager advantage at the moment, and it seems like he's going to be content with coming back and maybe towering up his own resources. But once again, I am totally wrong. Don't know why I even try to speculate. Yo's going to come and take this deer patch. Why not? He's in the right place to do it, and obviously it's not being harassed at the moment. These 2 men-at-arms may come and try to bother it, but there are only 2 of them. So a bit of tower aggression from Yo, keeping Fire on his back foot. Fire now with some archers out, and he's going to be coming forward and continuing to harass Yo. Presumably he's going to come after this gold pile. The problem is, by the time he gets there, there will be a watchtower to defend. So Yo finally having things at home squared away. Fire he's not in a terrible position here. He has been pushed off the front of his base, but he does have safe gold and safe wood and a safe place to grab food, and he's even got safe stone. So Fire is just fine for his feudal age right now. He is going to push Yo's villagers away from this deer patch. Those villagers never built a mill. They just grabbed 20 food each, and hopefully for Yo, they make it back home with that food in their hands still. But we'll have to see. This villager on the lowest HP does look like he's going to make it. 1 man-at-arms coming out from Yo to take on this army, and really just to distract them. This could be a problem for Yo. This villager has been left behind. It looks like Fire is going to start pushing her back toward his own base, and he's going to get that villager. So Yo's forward working somewhat to damage Fire's economy, but he does lose a villager in the process, and that forward is really now done. No army to reinforce it, no villagers to continue to build towers. The towers are now coming up in defense, which in my opinion seems wise. It seems like Yo is now holding down his side, and these couple of archers in this man-at-arms are going to come around the backside here. If they can get through these palisades, they will be able to harass Yo's economy and maybe equalize the villager count, although Yo only up by 1 villager at the moment. We can see Fire here is leaving a few archers behind, probably trying to defend his back door at the moment until he gets everything walled off. Those archers coming forward could be a major advantage for him, potentially coming into this side of Yo's base and putting some harassment on. Yo will be walling or housing toward his TC here, so it's going to be harder and harder every minute for Fire to get any pressure on. Fire is going to be coming with those archers now. He will have a group of 9 or 10 archers and a man-at-arms. He's grabbing wheelbarrow, so he'll be clicking up to castle soon. Yo has clicked up first, and it looks like Yo's going to have a few minutes advantage on Fire in castle age time. Fire running those archers straight in toward this watchtower, potentially going to camp out directly under it. Looks like that is what he'll do, at least for the moment, and that'll take away this wood line and all of these farms from Yo. So, a pretty nice little bit of aggression here from Fire. He's got a disadvantage in castle time. He's about to catch up on villager count. Problem is going to be that Yo will be dropping TCs, presumably, and he'll start to boom his economy. These archers, they got what they could from that. Now they've abandoned it, and they're headed in to try to grab a few more villagers. Problem is they're taking lots of fire from this watchtower. One villager down there from Yo. These villagers pushed off their farms and this wood line for the moment, and this stone. So very nice harassment with these 5 archers, and it looks like Fire's going to be content just to hold this area down. And I think that's very wise of him, pushing all of these villagers off to really chop at one tree. So for the moment, Fire is doing a great job shutting down the farming economy of Yo. He's also got this watchtower coming in to harass this entire wood line. And although Yo has hit Castle Age first, it seems that at the moment, Fire is a real thorn in his side. He's actually going to wall in that watchtower, and that's going to be a real pain. This whole wood line is going to be a problem, and that's Yo's only wood line that's close to his initial base. So Yo is going to have to build out, maybe putting a TC up somewhere to gather wood, and doesn't have a lot to work with. He's got to go quite a ways to do that. So, we'll have to see how Yo responds. He is going to bring a few knights into the fray. That seems wise. They can clean up these archers very quickly. But for the moment, he's going to be pushed off of this wood line. He can drop a siege workshop there and come after that tower, but he'll have to be taking wood here on the front, and he'll be a little bit exposed, at least for the moment. This watchtower has gone down on the front. I did not see how, but presumably the counter tower here eventually took it down. Fire still with a couple of villagers in there. Probably be better for them to be working than shooting houses, but he is focused elsewhere. He's building a second watchtower here. Not sure that that's necessary. It is going to be able to stop Yo from taking this gold, so maybe that's what he's thinking of right now. But the big story is Yo's knights. Yo coming forward with 6 knights. It looks like he's going to split them up a little bit and run them straight into Fire's economy. Fire has clicked up to castle. He hasn't gotten there yet, but eventually he will get there, and he'll be until then he'll be defending some pressure from knights. These knights, having +1/+1, are going to do fairly well against the arrows from these towers. A very large group of archers here from Fire, which is the best thing he can do at the moment with his feudal age money, was to build some archers up and try to get some offensive aggression. Now those are going to be relegated to playing defense. They're going to do a just fine job against these knights, especially since Yo has split them up. But Yo is going to have 4 of those knights in the back of the economy of Fire, and he may be able to get 4 or 5 villagers pretty easily here. There's 1. Do I see 2? Oh no, they're running toward the archers and not toward the villagers. He is going to grab a few archers, but unfortunately for him, Fire has hit the castle age, and he's upgraded to crossbows, and those knights are largely not going to do the economic harassment that they could have. Had they run down to this wood line, they might have gotten a few more villagers. But they didn't, and we will continue to watch what happens. We can see that the villagers on this side have all died. Yo's knights got in there. My apologies for not seeing it. He does have a mangonel out, so Yo will be able to defend these archers fairly well, and we'll start to see that that Celtic siege versus the British archers. So we are going to see at least a Castle Age game here, and potentially Imperial. It looks like both players are on fairly equal footing for the moment. Yo still with knights, still trying to get in. The problem for Yo is he's going to crash up against the rocks. These archers here are pretty formidable at this point. +2 damage, +1 armor, and +3 range because they are Britons and they are in the Castle Age. So It looks like Fire's going to do just enough to defend his end. If we look at the villager count, Yo is up by 11. We do see a second TC from him. It is on a wood line, which seems very wise considering he doesn't have a whole lot of wood. Yo also with a third TC, also on a wood line, so he's very much committed to grabbing wood. We can see one TC from Fire, and at the moment that appears to be all she wrote. So one TC there, many villagers here coming forward to do something, and they're going to build a second TC for Fire. They're going to do it on this wood line. Be interesting to see if Fire decides to try to wall this area off. Yo's come in a few times with his knights from that angle. We might see him defend that front. But for the moment, it's a little bit of a stalemate. So both players sort of pulling back a little bit. I just lied to you. I didn't see Yo's knights here sneaking in. They're going to come in and grab a few villagers. They're actually very close to this tower. I wonder if he's going to take that tower down. But he will grab a third villager here. And he's got one knight that's trying to take out crossbows and doing a very fine job of it. So, Yo in the economy of Fire, doing some harassment, which is going to even further increase the villager advantage. 68 for Yo to 47 at the moment, and Fire being a little bit maybe indecisive or maybe patient, waiting to come in to Yo's base with these crossbows. And meanwhile, Yo with just 4 knights doing a whole heck of a lot of harassment. So, a really nice play here from Yo, continuing to keep his opponent on the defensive. Look at all these idle villagers and all of the dead villagers, really keeping the initiative, showing why he's one of the very best 1v1 players in the game. Yo's going to grab another crossbow here. He's going to force those villagers back into this TC, continue to idle them. So not only is he up by 23 villagers, he's got his opponent on 16 idols. So at the moment, he is up by 39 working villagers. Obviously, that won't last very long. These knights are going to have to continue to move on. They do grab another villager or two, but they are going to be cleaned up very soon. Getting very low on HP. So, Yo really getting his money worth out of those archers. Little does he know, or a lot does he know, that archers will soon be coming in the back door here. Yo leaving this really wide open. There isn't a lot to be harassed because of this TC's location, but he might be able to get a mangonel shot. Looks like Fire is going to react in time. 8 range versus 7 range, so that mangonel is going to be outranged. It's also going to miss its first shot. Second shot does land, only gets 1. Ooh, the third shot, look at that. Getting 6 or 7 archers for that mangonel. So a very nice last shot there from Yo. I think that if you get 5 archers for a mangonel, you've really paid that mangonel off. In this case, he got probably 6 or 7, and he cut this army in half. Really neutered that army, and that's going to allow his knights to come in and potentially clean it up. 4 or 5 knights should be enough to come in and take this group down. So a very nice shot from Yo, potentially changing the dynamic of Fire's offensive here. Meanwhile, back at home, Fire has a ram. He's taking down this forward from Yo. I still think this forward is a win by Yo. You know, it's slowed Fire down quite a bit. Fire's got villagers here that are attacking to get this down. He had to build a ram to do the work. And all of those resources have taken away from his ability to keep any pressure on Yo. And the problem is, Yo has 3 TCs. His villagers are largely unharassed, and his population now is 100. He's got 94 villagers. Fire, on the other hand, does have 2 TCs up, but he's on 61 villagers, and Yo has clicked up to Imperial. So Yo with a pretty major advantage here. Fire doing his best to try to equalize it, sneaking a couple of archers in here, grabbing a few villagers, and slowing Yo down just a little. But it seems like Fire's going to have to do something a little bit more drastic. At the moment, Yo seems to have a lot of map control now that he's dropped this castle. He's got a major villager advantage, and he's really largely unharassed. Although Fire is sort of sniping a few farmers here and there, he's not going to equalize a 30 villager advantage with 12 archers, or with 10 archers. We can see Yo very brazenly coming in to grab a relic right in front of Fire's TC here. Neither player noticing that, and it looks like Yo will walk away with a free relic, at least for the moment. So kind of a little bit of a funny moment there. Yo just kind of standing with a monk, just watching the villagers work, teasing them, daring them to come and try to take him down. And that monk does seem to be scot-free. He's actually stopped him for reasons that I don't quite understand, and he's just hanging out with that relic. These archers have done a little bit more harassment, but they're going to start getting cleaned up. These knights are going to grab them. They're trying to join with these other archers, but the problem is that there's a mangonel in play. That mangonel is shooting incredibly inaccurately, but there's another great shot from Mr. Yo, and he's going to take down 4 or 5 archers there. He's going to lose this knight, but he's really trimmed this force from Fire down to a very wimpy force. You know, he's just not going to get enough bang for his buck from those archers to even come close to equalizing this game. And it looks like Yo is starting to run away with it. We are going to see elite woads in just a moment. One castle, as far as I can see, from Mr. Yo. A little bit of harassment here from Fire. He's going to grab a few villagers there for fairly cheap. But those archers are going to go down to Woad Raiders very soon. Castle coming up here. A third TC was dropped by Fire. This castle is going to do a nice job of protecting the front of the base here, especially this stone. Maybe if he had built it a little bit further over, he could have protected this gold as well. But I'm sure he has his reasons, and we'll see if it works out for him. Another castle coming down here for Yo. He's going to protect this small gold pile, very similar to other games you've seen Yo play. Of course, you want to take over the map, and you want to have free reign on the gold. Yo's Imperial force of elite woads starting to mass up is going to... Oh, he's getting conscription as well. Is going to start becoming very formidable. Another castle for Yo, another gold mine for Yo. Keeping to his strategy of taking map control and getting all the gold. That seems to be a very smart strategy. Everybody should really do that. But Fire is now up to Imperial, and he's really he's going to be very late to the game, but at least for the moment, he's going to be able to drop some stone walls and protect himself from the Woad Raiders coming in, at least through this back door. Fighting off a wolf, you always have to fight off the wolves, but he will eventually have this whole area closed in. A couple archers here still doing some harassment. Yo has not closed this side up. A defensive tower or something could do a nice job. That's the third time that Fire's come in and picked off 2 or 3 villagers. At this point, maybe it's not important to Yo because he is on the offensive. He's got woads that are coming in every nook and cranny of Fire's base here. They're actually coming to try to take down this TC. At least this group is focusing that TC down. Quite a few other woads here working their way through, chasing villagers across the map. These villagers are sure to be dead if they are continued to be chased by those woads. Fire currently pushed off of his back gold. He's not able to grab his front gold. This TC on too low of HP to garrison villagers, and the villagers are there going down so very, very quickly. And the population now is 107 for Yo and 77 for Fire. So Yo with a major advantage, really streaming those woads in now, and there's the good game from Fire. So game 2 goes to Mr. Yo. He was Celts. He took on the archers of Fire with a little bit of siege and quite a few knights. When he hit Imperial, he went straight to Elite Woad Raider, and those Woads just streamed in and took too many of Fire's villagers down for Fire to ever come back. So, hopefully you enjoyed this one. If you haven't seen Game 1, give it a click. If not, if you have seen Game 1, then let's move on to Game 3. All right, I'll see you there. Bye.